Welcome back. Now, Karura Forest has been in the news for the last 2 weeks. Issues of land grabbing coming up here and there. And this morning, we want to understand what exactly is going on and what needs to be done to save Karura Forest. And in studio, we are joined by Professor Karura Njoroge. He's the chairman of Friends of Karura Forest, together with Mr. Benjamin Wamugunda, who is a forest consultant. Any questions you might be having, 22422 is the SMS line, or you can get us on Twitter. The hashtag is Power Breakfast. For now, I hand you over to Mr. Njao. Mr. Njao?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Maybe we should start with you, Professor,
yes,
so that you can tell us. I know you used to work here as the general manager.
Yes.
You started in this company, actually.
I'm very, very proud of it.
And Mr. Wamugunda, I know you used to be a deputy director of forests.
Yes.
And now you are, previously you are the chairman of Nairobi Forest Conservation Committee.
The immediate chairman, yeah.
So you guys know very much about Karura Forest. Let's start with you, Mr. Professor Njoroge. Friends of Karura Forest and the Nairobi Forest Conservation Committee, are they related?
Yes.
Can you tell us about them?
In 2005, the Parliament enacted a law, popularly known as the Kenya Forest Act 2005, which established the concept of community forest associations as a tool to help guide the protection and conservation of forests around the country. So each forest station, and there are about 252 or 270 forest stations in the country, were required to have a CFA, a community forest association, to support the work of that forest station in terms of its management and protection and conservation. In Karura Forest, the Friends of Karura Forest were registered in 2009, and they embarked on a task of turning around a forest that had become a haven, a den of thieves, a place where no one would venture. Even the forester who was then the forester would not walk across that forest without meeting thugs and even being confronted by thugs. Yeah? So our first effort as Friends of Karura Forest was to secure the forest. And we raised money from the community, from corporate, and fenced Karura Forest. At that time, as you know, a lot of titles had been issued by the previous government. There were 477 titles issued to politically correct people, to friends of the regime at that time, and very few of them have been cancelled or returned, because there were people who voluntarily returned the titles. We've been...
we remember Wangari Maathai going there to protest and smashed trucks and vehicles.
They almost killed her there in 1998.
Yeah.
But what the CFA has done since 2009 was first to secure the resource by fencing it with electric fence. The second thing was to wait for anyone who would then come and say, well, you fenced my land in. We waited for a long time, we didn't get any. However, we are in court with 3 or 4 cases where we've been sued, or rather, the Kenya Forest and the government have been sued by title holders wanting access to their land.
Before those titles were given, a forest must be degazetted, isn't it? Is that
correct? There was no degazetting. There was no degazetting.
So the titles are illegitimate?
As far as we are concerned, they are just as good as paper.
Mr. Wamugunda, can you tell us about the Nairobi Forest Conservation Committee?
Well, the country, as the Professor has mentioned, was divided into 10 conservancies. Forest conservancies, the whole country. And these forest conservancies were based on the former provincial administration, with the Rift Valley being divided into 2 and the Eastern into 2, providing 10 of them. Nairobi, the whole province of Nairobi, the then province of Nairobi, became the Nairobi Forest Conservation Committee. And this was Nairobi city, county as it is now, and Kajiado, and a bit of Kiambu, with the forests of Kiambu and the forests of Kamiti. Since then, what we have now is the county of Nairobi itself and Kajiado as Nairobi Forest Conservation Committee. And they are members of that committee Professor Karanja is the chairman of that committee.
Not the chairman.
The committee of Karura Friends. So, this committee comprises of 10 people. I was the chairman from 2009 to 2015. And other than me, there were 4 government personnel, the PC of Nairobi, the Director of Environment, the Director of Agriculture, the head of Nairobi Forest Conservancy, Munyasia, who was the secretary of this committee, and then 5 public members, in which Professor Karanja was one of them. There was another man who dealt with industries, another one from Kajiado, and a 5th one from City Council of Nairobi. So this is the committee that made decisions and recommendations to the government on what should be done in Nairobi. However, it started working properly in 2009. Before that, it was the old act that was operating. Even if the 2005 Forest Act had been enacted, it was not actualized until 2007, and then the committees now came into place in 2009 onwards.
Now, there's much concern about Karura Forest. I have seen trucks going through Ngong Forest, the new road that is being built in Southern Bypass. It's going through the forest.
Yes.
And I've seen trucks even now when they're building near the Guri's home. They're going into the forest. Well, how come nobody is making noise about that?
Let me answer that one if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Government forests are eligible for use, and this is this is done always for government purposes. Roading, it will pass through any place where forests are. It doesn't matter where, but that is part of the laws of Kenya. And in any case, forests belong to the people, the government.
And they don't belong to the people.
Yeah. And once they even decide to come to Mutegi's shamba, they'll compensate you, and that is the law. But they still have to do roading. What you have seen there is a bit of roading going on, including that Githunguri area. Yeah. So a lot of land has gone to the southern bypass.
There was also an issue about the southern bypass and some places not occupied because of the national park.
Yes.
The road is stagnating there.
Right. Well, the national parks are a different category of protected areas, in that more conservation is not necessarily required, but is emphasized on wildlife as opposed to forests. So, and it's a big Birara attitude, certainly. But what has been happening is that finally they had to accept of this railway coming and on the air, so that animals can pass through. But that's a different category. They are protected areas. I think they command more conservation than forests.
I want to object to that. Back in 2005, when the Act was passed in Parliament, part of that effort was really to stem the tide against loss of forest cover in Kenya. When the Kenya Forest Service was established, it was established specifically as a reaction to a diminishing acreage of forest cover in Kenya.
Yeah, because we're 3%, we are supposed to be 10.
I mean, we have seen degradation and destruction of forest in untold circumstances. In 1997 alone, we lost 200,000 hectares of national forest in the Mau.
Yeah.
And today we are struggling to figure out what to do with the Mau because of the major problems that it has caused, not just downstream on a River Mara, which is influencing the ecosystems of Mara Reserve or Masai Mara, but also in the flows of water down towards Lake Victoria and towards Lake Baringo and so on and so forth. So this is a major ecological catastrophe. So for Mr. Amguda to say that forests are categorized differently from other protected areas. It's wrong. Forests in Kenya now are protected areas and can only be used under circumstances that will not endanger or degrade or devalue that forest. The issue of the bypass was discussed vehemently. I mean, there are a lot of us who are opposed to the bypass going through the forest. I think the forest is sometimes more important than homes in many respects. We are a country that is water scarce country. If you begin to say now you will connect Nyeri and Nyandarua through the forest, and then you'll do this and the other where major forest ecosystems exist, then you are degrading the forest that you have sworn to protect. In the Paris conference, the government actually agreed that it will no longer be interested, or it will not advocate for any removal of standing forests, and that their effort will be concentrated in adding, replanting and recovering particularly dryland forestry. So this is what I'm saying, that we as a community want to make sure that the government sticks to its plan to stop the degradation of forests in Kenya.
Okay,
Professor Karanja, are you saying that the law of Kenya does not recognize roads going through forests? That is the law. That is the constitution of Kenya. That public lands will be used for roading purposes and any public purposes. That is the law. There's nothing to
which act of the constitution?
Hold on.
Which part of the constitution are you quoting?
Anyway,
that's not emotional.
The position is this, and I'm a forester for 40 years, Bonanjao. I'm not trying to say that forests are of lesser importance. In fact, I would be the last person to do that. But roading is paramount, and it will go to any part of Kenya. That is the law. It's both the constitution, it's both the Forest Act.
But the planners who plan roads can plan a road which does not have to go to the forest.
Exactly.
Fair enough, but the fact now is that they do go through forests.
But if they
there
do,
is also
that's
this
okay.
thing. Let's not do a tournament here, sir. There is also this thing about forests being lesser than national parks. That's a fact, because forests are for multi-purpose use. This business about green belt movement, taking forests as shrines and saying, oh, don't touch, women should never touch firewood, women should not do this. That is not forests are for. Forests are for multi-purpose use. They are for timber, for air, for water, for all those purposes, as opposed to wildlife which are for nature protection. There are two different distinctions, and this must be said here.
You can go and cut a tree in the forest with permission, but yes, you cannot go and kill a giraffe.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
No, my take on this, I mean, it's a very interesting dialogue we are having here. But I want to remind you, Bonamotegi, and those people listening to us, that forests are the habitat of the animals.
The animals.
So you cannot have one and not the other. The elephants cannot survive without the forests of this country. Yeah? So you cannot say that the Kenya Wildlife Service has the gazetted areas at the KWS are more important than the gazetted areas at the KFS. In fact, that is the anomaly that we have, that the person in charge of the habitat of our animals is not the person who is also in charge of the animals that live in that forest. So to me, I say there is a contradiction in terms of what he's saying, but I leave to the listeners to decide who among us have a better, clear understanding, not just of what is happening today, but what the Constitution says about our natural resources. Our natural resources, particularly forests, must be managed in a manner that is sustainable. I have no problem at all with Omagunda saying forests must produce things for us. They must improve livelihoods. They have to provide firewood for our women. They have to provide timber for you to build your house. I have no problem with that. But this must be done sustainably. You can't come and destroy things and you're not replanting, and that is what the Department of Forestry did for years. We've destroyed what was built by the colonial government in a space of about 10 years. Yeah.
What do you say, Mr. Mugunda? Because once we when you are deputy director of forest, there was a lot of corruption. There was a lot of corruption during my government.
Fair enough.
And not only did they take, forget about Karura, even Mount Kenya forest. People went and cut Meruok. There was a lot of destruction of Mount Kenya forest. And you know we have dams downstream.
Yes.
The 7 Fox dams, the Kentarumas of this world. And they're destroying Mount Kenya forest. So that when you go to the Tagashana now, you see red. Then, you know,
absolutely. We are sending our soil to the ocean. The fish don't need our fertile soil.
Yeah.
Sustainable development is the cardinal of forestry. It's the cardinal rule on forestry, sustainable management. But sustainable management does not mean that Wanjiku cannot go to the forest to collect firewood. Jao cannot go to Mount Kenya to collect Meroak. So long as he can do it with licenses, with proper systems, and this is all about forestry. What Professor is trying to say is what they have been saying. Please don't go to the forest, don't touch it. These are holy shrines. Forests are not shrines. Without forests being used, they can never be conserved. This is the problem, and this is where we differ with my friends, the so-called friends of Karura.
Let me tell you, friends of Karura Forest have protected Karura block, and the Karura Forest block is no more than 2,000 hectares.
It's 1,000
forest. 1,043 hectares. Yeah, 2,000 or so acres. Now, let me follow the strand that is laid of use benefits to communities. Karura, although we have turned it from a consumptive forest to a non-consumptive forest, meaning we do not cut trees in Karura,
which is
for
wrong.
For consumption in timber and so on. Yeah?
Which is wrong.
And the reason we have done that is such a small forest, and we have to sustainably remove whatever needs to be removed without clear cutting. Are we together? And what we have adopted is what we call selective removals. When we see a tree is old enough, mature, can be used, whatever, we remove that particular tree while allowing other trees to grow in its place. We do not do the messy stuff of clear cutting a forest and waiting for years to regrow another forest. However, we have found another use that brings in income, improved livelihoods for the people of Nairobi. One, we are using the forest for recreational purposes, educational purposes, and ecotourism purposes. Karura Forest, if you go to TripAdvisor, is the second most visited place in Nairobi. Why?
Not Arboretum.
Not Arboretum. Karura Forest is the second most visited place in Nairobi. We have 20,000, between 18,000 and 20,000 visitors a month. That is income that is coming to the forest that was not there before we came in. Setback, many people go there because it's an open area, so we have no calculation of how many people visit Setback.
I'm talking about that forest next to our constitution.
Yes, that Setback is an open area. You can go walk there. So nobody would
there is a forest there.
Oh yes, and we need to protect that too.
Yeah.
It's the Nairobi County, and it needs to be there. So what I was saying is that we can find other uses of the forest without necessarily destroying the forest. Especially in a forest like this one, in a main urban center. We ought to be very proud that Nairobi is home to a block of forest that no other city in Africa can pride themselves in having. We are a very unique city.
What is your beef with them using that way?
My beef with friends of Karura is basically this. A great job was done to fence the Karura forest, and these visitors are definitely coming. And a lot of revenue, over 1 million shillings, is being realized. What has now happened, and I was there yesterday, I saw all these people there, I saw all these beautiful people coming. The problem right now is that there's an elitist society The whole of United Nations is coming to Karura. A lot of people are walking there. There is a cafe called Riverside Cafe, where a beer costs 300 shillings, tea costs 200 shillings, a meal costs 1,000 shillings. Out of a cafe that was meant, and it is Professor Karanja who brought that motion into our meeting, that they want to build a canteen for staff. They ended up building a top-notch recreation area. To me, the friends of Karura are with the dirty hands. I'm sorry to say that, when they are coming here to pontificate about forests.
And what's
that canteen is there. It should have been destroyed.
What else is there? I don't know whether the country is to make it, but what else do you object to?
That is number one.
Yes. Let's get rid of them.
There is also a memorial that was posted there for the people who died in Westgate. I have no problem with that if it was done properly. This thing was done again, friends of Karura coming and doing it without the authority of the Forest Conservation Committee. In Sigiriya there is also a gym, Sigiriya, and I was there yesterday, which was brought is a place for askaris to be doing gym. It has been commercialized. It is being charged for people to come and do games. We are overdoing this thing we call recreation. We must begin thinking about the carrying capacity of Karura. It's a high time this red herring that there are so many dollars coming in that were thought about, and Wanjiko was given the facility that she deserves. She comes in and collects firewood. She comes in and enjoys forest. She doesn't come in and sees only the bourgeois enjoying Karura, which I'm afraid the friends of Karura are advocating. And I would like Karanja and his friends Claire and Rao.
You don't have to personalize.
Come. It's not personalized. These are the three chairmen of Friends of Karura. I want them to come here, and they come with clean hands about Karura Forest.
I honestly, Mugo, I'm very surprised because this man has served Kenya Forests well over many years.
This is what?
That's his tradition. I knew him when I was a little boy like this, Mutegi.
Yeah. Let's not be personal.
As a forester. No, you personalized it.
Huh? You did. Yeah.
And, yes,
yeah.
so I have a lot of respect for him. But when he stands here and lies about things that I can bring you documents for, the Kenya Forest license, the CFA, to establish a cafe for income generating activity. Okay? Not a canteen, not to Zamandazi. We were not licensed to open a kiosk where people could come and buy a 20 shilling cup of tea. No. It's an income generating activity. I can show you.
How did it affect the forest?
And nothing. Absolutely. You can come there. I'll take you there. And many people who are professional in this manner of doing things. Let me tell you this. That restaurant earns Kenya Forest Service close to 1 million shillings every month. You ask him, they were proposing to establish something called, I don't know, Karura Forest Sports Recreational Facility Camp, which they were about to give for 1.2 million shillings a year license. What would you have? To allow the forest to earn 1 million shillings a month? Or allow the forest to earn 1.2 million shillings a year on a license that is creating something that you have no idea what it will turn out to be, including the kind of things that you're hearing Grimble talking about, potential camp, hotel, spa, all those things. They were the advocates of it. Ask him.
What about, he's talking about, you have the memorial and we have a gym. The Westgate Memorial.
Gym.
Yes.
It's not a gym. It's called an obstacle course. Unfortunately, there's no difference. There's a major difference between a gym and an obstacle course. The obstacle course was the brainchild of the regional commandant of the Kenya Forest Service. So I think it would be better to consult the Kenya Forest Service and find out
what is it used for?
It's really to bring young people to the forest. They do teaching, they do activities around the forest. You have to have an attraction.
Is that like what you have in...
It's outdoor. You go and jump over...
there is one in Loitoktok. Is that like
something like that?
Like
if you've been to...
I've been to Loitoktok.
To the mountain school, East African Mountain School, I went there too. Exactly something like similar to that. And most forests, that is a non-consumptive activity. It does not destroy the environment. It does not interfere with any tree or anything. You walk around the trees and so on. So it's absolutely good. And it was the brainchild of a KFS regional commandant.
What about the wildlife there?
Mr. Otieno. Yes.
What about wildlife there? These activities that don't affect the wildlife?
No. Because the wildlife are small mammals. We have also done an incredible thing that we should be being congratulated. Out in Kipipiri was a troop of Columbus monkeys that are endangered because people are killing them for going into their maize plantation and so on. Yeah. Together with KWS, KFS, and the Institute of Primate Research, we have been able to translocate 113 of those animals into Karura Forest. They have found a new home. In fact, I can proudly say to Kenyans now that Columbus monkey in Karura Forest are already procreating, because now they are not 113, they are 120. They have already born 7 newborns in the forest. We are doing fantastic work in terms of conservation. We as Kenyans need to recognize, to say thank you for people who are doing this service. Me and my colleagues do not earn a salary. We do not take a salary to do what we are doing.
That we take allowances?
Not even an allowance. And you can come and check. We are audited by KPMG. Come and see. I do not even put money in my phone to do FKF work. People with interest in money, when they see money, they get... I mean, that's a problem.
Let me say, it is an issue about Wajiko. He says this is a bourgeois.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's a bourgeois place.
It's
Wajiko cannot come there to...
It's because he doesn't know Wajiko. Wajiko is a friend of Karura Forest. We have 4 groups of women that are organized as such, so that they are organized in terms of coming into the forest. Organized by the CFA, the Community Forest Association. The Huruma Group, Deep Sea, Gedogoro, and Northern Madare. And they come into the forest on days that we choose, Wednesdays and Fridays. We choose because we do not want access to the forest by thugs. Yeah, we are security.
Them to come and do what they do.
Come to collect firewood. We give them permission to collect firewood, and they go home very happy. The second thing is this: from all the communities that live adjacent to the forest, we organize into income groups to help them boost their livelihood improvement. And we have cash work in the forest, which we give to these women groups, particularly women. And I can tell you, and you can come and check our books, we spend about 1 million shillings every month giving cash work at Karura Forest. It's a major economic activity. We have also created 47 new full-time jobs. I think I should be getting an EBS from Uhuru Kenyatta for doing all this.
Let us hear where you can't get it from, my friend here from Mugunda.
Now, I want to come on this issue about we do this for these people. We as whom?
As friends of Karura. CFA.
Let me finish. You have taken over Karura and called it yours. Now you are dishing out things to the poor. All these people you are talking about. This is the attitude that is wrong. What should be done is that cafe that they built should be demolished. And it should be demolished for this reason. Here is Professor saying how he doesn't touch a penny out of Karura. There is 1 million shillings
goes to Kenya,
received every year.
Service.
Goes to it doesn't go to Kenya Forestry Service. They misuse it. They do very hopeless. Let me finish. They do very hopeless afforestation. They want to remove all the eucalyptus trees in Karura so as to put in what they call indigenous trees. Things that are completely in complete contradiction to forestry. Right now, yesterday, and I did talk with the director of forest himself yesterday. I did talk with the head of the Conservancy for Nairobi. And what I'm trying to say here is that these men should actually move out of Karura. They are not friends of Karura. They are foes of Karura. They are foes of Karura, having built a high-class hotel.
What's wrong with that?
In Karura.
The revenue generation.
Revenue at the expense of carbon dioxide. At the place where that...
Which carbon dioxide?
At that particular... Let me finish. You had your time. At that particular place where you put this canteen, there should be trees. There should be trees. Feeding.
The same trees you want to kill.
Nobody is killing trees.
You are giving to go and cut.
Nobody is killing trees. Trees are being used sustainably.
Anyway.
Professor Karanja,
I think these guys are completely different. I put my case this way. Let Kenyans decide.
You should come with clean hands here. Don't come here and talk about Wanjiko.
They are very clean.
I don't know. You know, Mugunda is my friend.
And Mugunda
is my friend. He is making allegations.
Yes, and those are serious
and serious allegations which can be challenged in a court of law.
Let them be. Let them
because you are saying they are misappropriating
money.
And he says the money goes to KFS.
It goes to the forest, back into the forest.
We are trying to...
And he has even said how they employ women.
And how they 47 new jobs. Tell him, even when he was a conservator of forest, how many jobs did he create? We have created in a space of 5 years.
This man refused to bring accounts to the Nairobi Forest Conservation Committee, and he walked out. You walked out.
Because of knowing how...
Let us not...
You walked out. No, it's being personal. You refuse to bring your accounts to the Nairobi Forest Conservation Committee.
It's not him.
They do. The friends of Karura do their things. They go, they say how they are doing things for the Mwananchi, and they are doing the complete antithesis for the Mwananchi.
So anyway, the question is, Professor, whom are you accountable?
We are accountable. We do not manage this forest alone, Mr. Mutegijau. He has forgotten to tell you the truth, that our agreement with Kenya Forest Service sets up something called the Joint Forest Management Committee, headed by the Ecosystem Services Coordinator, who is a member of the Kenya Forest Service, also the forester,
and hijacked by Professor Karanja.
You see, can he stop mismatching my name? I seek your protection for everything. Because this guy...
Let's carry on. He's trying to do a warfare.
Shall we continue or...
No, we need to go. You need to keep peace.
Fair enough. But
anyway, we'll continue.
If KFS has a problem with us, it's not with us as FKF. They would have a problem with the Joint Management Committee, which comprises of two institutions, the CFA and the Kenya Forest Service. The money that comes goes into a joint account. The unfortunate thing, and that is the interest that he's presenting on this table, is that there are some people, there is a clique of people in KFS who believe they have to have access to that money. And they don't have that access. Wow, so they feel that, but you know, we were very fortunate in that the government in Kibaki's regime saw this as a very important aspect of forest management, and they allowed the Kenya Forest Service and the CFA to establish a joint account, and that joint account means that the KFS and the CFA must agree on how the money is being spent. I don't think they like that. From what he's saying. Because there is no reason for them to worry. I have never received one complaint, either from the director of Kenya Forest Service or from any official of Kenya Forest Service, on how the joint forest management is being conducted.
What is that?
Except from Mugunda.
No, what is that? Let's not be personal. What is that he says you refuse? Which organization are you to give accounts?
Let me also put it to him. The CFAs are not accountable to the FCC.
He says the FCC,
the FCC which I sit in, the FCC where I sit in, we have never checked or looked at the accounts of any CFA. We sat there as CFA from Gong, CFA from Karura, CFA from Gong Hills, and there are many other CFAs the CFA from Nairobi Arboretum. We asked, why are you asking us to bring the accounts? He didn't answer.
Couldn't you answer that?
Yes, I can.
Why did you want the account then?
This is public money. This is public money. Karura Forest Conservation, Friends of Karura, are members of the FCC. It is FCC that creates them. They must answer and tell us every 4 months what they are doing.
When they didn't do it, why did they not go to court?
Yes, or go to the Kenya Forest Service.
Go to the Kenya Forest Service.
Yes, yes.
Why do you have to make it here?
Yes.
I won't answer that.
It's because they want to spoil the name of FKF.
I would want Professor Karanja to say...
It is not a person.
No,
yes,
he has,
what is the problem with
the Friends of Karura must come clean on the hotel they have put in Karura.
We have come
They have not. They have not.
What do you want me to say?
Explain.
It was built illegally.
It is not built illegally.
It was built illegally.
Okay,
why?
I mean,
it was not sanctioned. I'll give you the reason why. The normal way of licensing forest activities is by a license. A license must be given for any structure you put in a forest, anywhere in Kenya. None of that was done for this particular canteen, and I want him to come clean. Who uses it?
Why is that? If that is the case,
yes.
Why is the Kenya Forest Service?
Why is it?
Why is the Kenya Forest Service?
Are you speaking on behalf of Kenya?
Yes, I am.
No, you are not an employee of Kenya Forest Service.
You are not in the Kenya Forest Service.
Anyway,
you are not an employee of Kenya Forest Service.
And he's getting very angry about that hotel.
I'm getting angry because you're besmirching.
So who owns that hotel? Who owns that hotel?
No, why should I explain even to this guy?
No. Who owns personal? He has explained very well that it is not his hotel.
Yeah, and it was illegally created.
No, he says he got a license from Kenya.
I will produce that. I can ask now for it to be mailed to you.
He did not.
Signed by DK Bugwa and the corporate secretary.
We have a minute.
Do you know Mr. DK Bugwa?
We have a minute that says that...
You as who?
We as Nairobi Forest Conservation Committee.
You are not the one licensed.
I'm not licensed. I'm talking about we have a minute.
Yes.
And please listen to me.
Yes.
There's nothing to be angry about here.
Yeah, you are the one who is very angry, but I'm not.
There's nothing to be angry about.
Yeah. Yes.
I've just told you that the chairman of Karura, Friends of Karura, comes and says that they are going to have a canteen. I'll call it mine now, in my committee meeting. And my committee meeting approves, go ahead and do a canteen. What happens is a 4-star hotel in Karura, this restaurant I've told you about,
a hotel,
which this man is getting very angry about because
he lies.
So he should come clean. Who owns that hotel?
But please explain to him again.
No, I don't want to explain again. But this is what I don't want to explain again. What I want is to explain to the viewers.
Yeah.
Please, viewers, come to Karura Forest and see the so-called 4-star hotel by Bwana Mugunda. He's shamelessly selling this truth. 20,000 people come every month to Karura. They have seen this thing. I have not received one complaint except from Wamugoda. He has an agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We can continue this segment out of camera.
Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime.
See you. Thank you very much.
But not with me. This guy has a personal
and
idea.
this one not with me.
I'm glad he's not anywhere near Kenya Forest Service because...
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry about you. Your time is gone as far as Karura is concerned.
Oh well, let's see who has the last...